गुड इवनिंग एंड वेलकम टू गनर शॉट। गनर शॉट में आप सबका स्वागत है। We're going back to Indus Water Treaty today, and we're going to talk about Pakistan's rhetoric versus reality, its hype and aggression. Why are these things coming up, and why am I talking about it again? Pakistan is on an overdrive. Every second, post I see from Pakistan talks of Indus Water Treaty, and they're going to sort us out, and they can't, we can't abrogate it. हम पानी लेंगे एंड आपका डैम गिरा देंगे, वगैरह 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 वगैरह. Then nothing. I mean, then I said, what's this? And they're coming out with all theories and alternate theories and narratives. And these narratives are directed to the West. Why are they directed to the West? They're going to invoke humanitarian conditions, humanitarian law, all that. Pakistan is a saint. Pakistan तो अच्छा बच्चा है. इंडिया जो है वो टेररिज्म का, thing like that. That's the picture. And this narrative has to be countered. We know the truth, but often we have fallen short on the narrative. So I am putting my 2 bits worth for the narrative. But with the narrative, I want to bring out facts, not alternate facts, not lies like what Pakistan is doing. Right? And I am going to give a few new perspectives on this and why. Very clearly, one thing I must say, why is Pakistan doing this now? They are in a deep hole and they can't get out of that hole in a hurry. Okay. And the only way they can get hold in out of this hole, we'll talk of the contours of that hole also. Okay. They can talk of a water war, they can talk of India is weaponizing water and it's an existential threat. Pakistan ka 250 million people will die. Nothing will happen. Okay. No one will die. If anyone has to die, so be it. And let the Pakistanis seek answers from their government. It will be good. अभी कोई तो पूछे इस गवर्नमेंट से कर क्या रही है? What are they doing? Anyway, if you see this thumbnail, I said treaty is in place till from 1960. And as per that, it supposed to get 80% of water, Indus water. And we have limited utilization rights, especially on the western rivers. And most importantly, I would like to reiterate the third time in a week, we have not violated the treaty so far. As we go along, we'll see. We are only trying to clean up our dams and that's it. Our dams are there already. Our dams on Chenab are already there and some are starting. And all these are as per the provisions of the Indus Water Treaty. But at the same time, the Indus Water Treaty is held in abeyance. We are not part of the treaty anymore. If this treaty has to come back on track, then Pakistan has to conclusively eschew terror and prove to us that they are not sponsoring terror at all. Till then, bye-bye. There are some wrong ideas that we can't get out of this. That the party, there's no exit clause from the party, from the treaty. All that. We'll discuss it. I'll discuss it today. Okay. First, we should know. I showed this slide a few days back, but I'll repeat. These are a collage of headlines from Pakistani media. And important thing which comes out from here is Pakistan is a nation which is running dry. And this is what all their news media tells us. Okay, but now let's get into some facts and figures. Because we have to understand these facts and figures and then see what this Pakistani fellows are doing. There's this, report by World Bank which says get Pakistan getting more from water. Okay. This came out in 2019, 1st January 2019, 7 years back. This was published by the World Bank. Now, this is if you go put this publication, country water resources, assistance strategy, water economy running dry, you will get this thing. And from here, you can download it. This was how many years? 7 years back. But interestingly, there is another document. There's a mother document to this document. It says Pakistan country water resources assistance strategy, water economy running dry. Same thing. This is of 2005. Okay. 14 years later, in 2019, they came out with something. Now, 2005, World Bank comes out. This is a World Bank report. Both are World Bank reports. This old report is the mother report of the current report. The current report is also 7 years old. 2005, it means you're already 21 years old. In this, they have exactly said what Pakistan must do. Canal by canal, they have said what Pakistan has to do, whether it is maintenance of their barrages, whether it is renewal of their, renewable water resources or groundwater, or whether it is their dams, or whether it is whatever they have to do, whatever salinity, how to tackle salinity, everything is given in this. And they also given estimates as to how much it will cost. Broad estimates. World Bank will give you only broad estimates. But nothing has been happened. Nothing has happened on this. Zero. Zero but a zero. Okay. And they, the older report is the classic. I read it. I read it about 3 years back, and I wrote an article about it on my website. He says, 2005, in an unprecedented triumph of water diplomacy, Pakistani engineers, together with their Indian counterparts and the World Bank, negotiated the Indus Water Treaty, giving Pakistan rights in perpetuity to the waters of the Indus, Jhelum, and Chenab, which comprises 75% of the flow. Because why I'm saying 75%, earlier I said 80%, now I'm saying 75% is, you will see Pakistanis saying, no, this is not correct. We are not getting 75% also. We are getting 60%. It is, India which has the water, we don't have anything. That's the first. The second point he makes is very important, and you understand it. There is now a mismatch. There was then a mismatch between the location of Pakistan's rivers, which are the western rivers, and the major irrigated area in the east. That's that Sialkot belt. Okay. That's salient. Okay. Area of Gujranwala and all that area. Because the eastern rivers, Chenab, Jhelum, and Ravi, don't irrigate Punjab, heartland Punjab. Okay. Now he says, look, Pakistan did something fantastic then. They connected Ravi, they connected Indus with Ravi, Ravi with Chenab, not Ravi, they connected Indus with Jhelum, Jhelum with Chenab, Chenab with Ravi, and Ravi with Satluj. I showed this in the last thing. They did an inter-basin water transfer through canals and brought those water into Punjab, which is their heartland. And we gave them money for it. We gave them money. That's there in the Indus Water Treaty as per how much we have given. Have a look at it. But what he says is thing. He says this was the heroic thing and a great thing which Pakistan did. After that, Pakistan did nothing. The making this infrastructure was the best thing, but you have to maintain that infrastructure and manage that infrastructure, which Pakistan could not. As a result, it finds itself in this position. And this position in which it is, right, was foreseen 20 years back. Today, you will see Pakistanis and everyone saying we are below the water scarcity line. I think they're below the absolute water scarcity line, and they've reached a level of irreversibility. I said this earlier also, I'm saying it. One part of their irreversibility stems from the fact that their growth of population is unchecked. No, there's no full stop on that, right? And they don't have money for all these things. Okay, having said that, to reiterate what is the report, both these reports, the mother report and the second one, are in detail almost the same. And I want to make this point again because all the Pakistani politicians, I'll show you what they've spoken. They held a big conference and they're going to do it all over every time now. We're going to have this drum beat going. And there's a logic for this drum beat. I'll come back because they're failing. Okay. Remember, Pakistan is well endowed with water. It's got a lot of water. There are only 16 countries in the world which have more water than Pakistan. That's it. So in volume of water, even now, without Indus water, without India turning the taps off, India can't turn the taps off. I'm also making this. Notwithstanding what everyone says, India can't turn the taps off. And India won't turn the taps off because it's foolish to turn the taps off for India. We'll not let these rivers go dry. These rivers have to flow. Rivers will flow. We're not violated so far. But it's all contingent to Pakistan's behavior. 32 countries which have lesser water than Pakistan, right, have an average per capita GDP which is more than Pakistan. And 26 such countries have 10 times the size of GDP of Pakistan, per capita GDP. In Pakistan, water consumption is maximum by agriculture, which is 20% of the GDP. Their crops are water intensive, but wheat, rice, sugarcane, cotton, they contribute only 5% to the GDP. They have done nothing to reverse this. They're building embankments and whatever you call it, right? Flooding, drainage problems, and whatever they have, you think, has not done anything to resolve their problems. On the other hand, it has contributed to their problems. It has not built a knowledge base. Infrastructure is in a poor state of maintenance. That's why I said they did a great thing by connecting Indus to Jhelum, Jhelum to Chenab, Chenab to Ravi, Ravi to Satluj. That's it. But after that, they didn't maintain it. Right? Governance deficit is high, project implementation is low. And no one pays for water, no one gives, and Pakistan is broke. These are facts. If they had managed their system better, they wouldn't be in this position. All this, I repeat, is to divert attention away from India or from their internal things towards India. I've shown this earlier. Have a look at it, those of you who are seeing it for the first time. The two guys who say floods have crippled Pakistan yet again. How will an IMF bailout dependent nation ever achieve climate resilience with such an acute dearth of funding? पैसा ही नहीं है. Why? Because see the amount of money there for climate budget or Indus water and all that. But on the other hand, their military budget is huge. And the guy who's their prime minister is saying, don't touch that money. And this is of a Pakistani artist, not my imagination. So they have put their money somewhere else. If this thing was ulta, Pakistan would be a prosperous nation by now. They invested in the wrong thing always. Now, even now, they are talking of, this guy is the deputy prime minister. What is he talking of? He talks of increasingly becoming a global peacemaker, a middle power, or a net security provider. But he is not talking of solving their water problems, food security, resolving. They want to be mediators. The trio. There's a trio now which has emerged of Asim Munir, Shahbaz Sharif, and Ishaq Dar. They're loafing all around the countryside. These three chaps were missing the day the Pakistan budget was being discussed in the parliament. Can you imagine Indian? I mean, I have to say this again. Can you imagine the Indian budget being discussed without the prime minister or the deputy prime minister in the parliament? It's happened in Pakistan. Why? Both these fellows were busy somewhere else in Iran or wherever, trying to sort out the problem between Iran and USA. Not their problems, not their budget, nothing. Okay. Now, we're going to talk of Pakistan's IW rhetoric. What's the rhetoric which is there in the past few days? It's astounding. Okay. We will hear various views. Right. The first view is this chap called Asad Tarar. I don't know what.
पाकिस्तान का जो इंडस वाटर ट्रीटी के ऊपर स्टांस रहा है, ना सिर्फ दुनिया ने उसको तस्लीम किया है, बल्कि उसको इंडोर्स भी किया है कि जो वाटर सिक्योरिटी है वो पाकिस्तान का राइट भी है, और इसके साथ साथ लीगली अगर देखा जाए बैनुल अक़वामी सतह पर पाकिस्तान के स्टांस को बड़ी तक़वियत मिली है, क्योंकि इंडस वाटर ट्रीटी यूनिलैटरली यकतरफा तौर पे ना उसको रिवोक किया जा सकता है, ना उसे खत्म किया जा सकता है, ना उसमें किसी किस्म की तरमीम या रद्दोबदल की जा सकती है.
So he says this what treaty cannot be changed. I agree with him. This treaty cannot be terminated. You cannot exit it. You can't do anything. See, listen to him again.
तौर पे ना उसको रिवोक किया जा सकता है.
You can't revoke the treaty as per him.
पाकिस्तान का जो इंडस वाटर ट्रीटी के ऊपर स्टांस रहा है.
And he says the whole world is behind Pakistan. First, let me clarify. There is no provision. I read through the treaty just before I came. There is no provision which says you can't exit this treaty. There is no provision which says you can't revoke this treaty. There is no provision which says I will not be part of the treaty. Because why? This is a bilateral treaty between India and Pakistan. The World Bank is only a mediator. Just for everyone's information, when all these problems were going on, Pakistan went to the World Bank. So the World Bank told them, look, the treaty is between you and India. You speak to them, they speak to you. We are not going to come and adjudicate. We've helped you make the treaty. All the best to you. And the treaty has provisions. First and foremost, if there's a dispute, both countries have to put a commissioner in place and they are supposed to discuss. The Indus Water Treaty commissioners from each country will have to sit and discuss. If there's a problem after that, they can go to a neutral guy. Otherwise, They or they can go to a court of arbitration. It is hierarchical. Last time also I said the Pakistani, if you go to the neutral chap, they'll go to the court of arbitration. If you go to the court of arbitration, they'll go to something else. So Pakistanis have been doing this ringa roses for a long time. So this chap, he's giving a narrative, right? Let me go ahead with what this chap has said further.
यकतरफा तौर पे ना उसको रिवोक किया जा सकता है, ना
This
उसे
is
खत्म
false.
किया जा सकता है, ना उसमें किसी किस्म की तरमीम या रद्दोबदल की जा सकती है। तो इंडस वाटर्स ट्रीटी ने बड़ी क्लैरिटी के साथ एक फ्रेमवर्क लेआउट किया है जिस पर अमल दरामद हो रहा है, और जैसे ऑनरेबल प्राइम मिनिस्टर शहबाज शरीफ साहब ने हमेशा कहा है और हर फोरम पे फील्ड मार्शल सईद आसिम मुनीर साहब ने भी बात की है कि जो पानी है वो हमारी लाइफ लाइन भी है, वो हमारी रेड लाइन भी है, और ये हमारे लोगों का हक है पानी के ऊपर थ्रू ए लीगली इन्फोर्सेबल ट्रीटी।
So it's my hak and it's my red line. So fine, if it's a red line, so be it. You can draw any number of red lines you want. If it's your hak, well, fine, come and take it. But to say that this treaty can't be revoked or India can't pull out of this treaty is not there. It is completely foolish. There is no way. They can go to anyone to say this treaty is, India is pulling out of the treaty and all that. Legally, we have not revoked the treaty, we have not pulled out of the treaty. The treaty still exists, we are still party to the treaty. We have just held it in abeyance. And I'll tell you why. Okay. Here is this chap, this guy, Syed Muhammad Meher Ali Shah. He is the Pakistani commissioner for Indus Waters. Now he has written and he has come out in this conference which was held. He has said, I have written to India 4 times since last April, the last 1 year, regarding fluctuations in the flow of Chenab River, but no reply so far. But what he has omitted to say is for 2 years before that, we have written letters to say, look, the very conditions under which this treaty was made has changed and the demography has changed. So we have said already that we want to renegotiate the treaty. So Pakistan did not reply to both the letters. In the first letter, at the last minute, we told them in 90 days we want your reply. On the 89th day, they gave some insignificant thing and went to the court of arbitration. Okay. In the last letter on 24, they didn't even bother to reply because they said their logic is it's in the court of arbitration. So, ठीक है, court of arbitration में तो है. We have in April 25, we have just held this treaty in abeyance. So we don't recognize this treaty anymore. We are party to the treaty, but it is in abeyance. It is not operative today. Do what you want. Go to the court of arbitration. Go to the International Court of Justice and all that. They have no jurisdiction on this. That's the best part of this treaty. What people are not saying. International Court of Justice, Hague, has no jurisdiction on this treaty. That treaty very clearly says there's only 2 levels. It is a bilateral treaty. Then there's a neutral guy. You can go to a neutral expert, or you can go to a court of arbitration. There's nothing else. There's no recourse to International Court of Justice. So, as per the treaty itself, that International Court of Justice and that thing is invalid, is illegal, and that is what our government has said. Right? So, these people are giving selective thing out. In India, we have media trial. Issue is tried out in the media, and based on whatever happens in the media, he is hung, and he is hung internationally or nationally by shame or whatever you say. You shame him and name him and shame him and name him till such time that fellow starts running away from the reality and he doesn't know what to do through the media. This is what these fellows are trying. What we should do, I'm telling you upfront, is mount a counter campaign to first expose their lies, and second, do lawfare. They want to do lawfare on us, we should do lawfare on them. Okay. And then they're trying to internationalize the issue. Okay. This joker.
The treaty has been revealed, and in that, all treaties of the world have been revealed. So this is not a message for us. We can take care of ourselves, as we have seen. No one can stop our water. But what about the rest of the world? If this press...
So what he's saying is, what about the rest of the world? We can take care of ourselves. If someone traps this water, we'll do what we have to do. The world has seen. Yeah, if you can take care of the water the way you want, why are you bothered? Yeah, you take your water, go. Why are you going and doing wakalat to the whole world? That as if it's a matter of the world. We are not doing anything to the world. This is a bilateral treaty in which we are handling bilaterally India and Pakistan.
Has been set. And if the new world order is in accordance with this new precedent, then what about the rest of the world?
So it says this will become a precedent. What about the rest of the world? So this fellows have become the lawyer for the rest of the world. So they're not bothered about the Indus Water Treaty. They say Indus Water Treaty will take care, but you will all be at risk. So basically, they're hyping the situation to internationalize it and put the scare on others. And there, this fellow cleverly in this speech, he talks of the Rhine. The Rhine is a transnational river in Europe. It goes through Germany, it goes through France and all before it goes into the Mediterranean. He says, you will fight because of with the precedents of this. Something like that is spoken. So, that's the first thing, he's internationalizing the issue. Okay. Then these chaps in this conference have threatened us. They're threatening. Okay. What does it say?
तो ऐलान कर चुके हैं कि जो हमारे पानी पे हाथ डालेगा हम वो हाथ ही काट देंगे, और सिर्फ ऐलान नहीं कर चुके, 2 मर्तबा 1-1.5 साल में दिखा चुके हैं.
So he says हम हाथ काट देंगे, और पानी में हाथ लगा दिया तो हाथ काट देंगे, दिखा एंड बोलेंगे ही नहीं, हम कर चुके हैं, दिखा चुके हैं. अच्छा ठीक है, दिखा देना यार, दोबारा दिखा दे. If he says, he's now, they are issuing threats to us that we are going to go to war with you. It is not only this fellow, not only the other guy, that bearded character, who's supposed to be their minister, but even their Bilal Bhutto, right, or anyone. Even the prime minister said there'll be different consequences. We know how to defend ourselves. People have said you should bomb the dams in India. Are you threatening India? On one hand, I want the people to understand, everyone. On one hand, they're threatening India with consequences. On the other hand, they're saying that India is causing a humanitarian crisis. They're begging. So you decide what you want to do. Pakistan must decide whether it wants to beg or show eyes and go to war with India. One of the two you do. Listen.
अगर किसी ने हाथ डाला तो हम हाथ काट देंगे, लेकिन सवाल इंसाफ का भी तो है. हम तो अपने आप को बचा लेंगे. हमारी तो जो अफवाज हैं उन्होंने 2 मर्तबा सीसा पिलाई दीवार बनकर खड़े हो गए, और दोनों मर्तबा उन्होंने दिखाया कि पानी नहीं, हम तो हवा.
तो पानी नहीं, हम हवा भी रोकेंगे. तो रोक लो यार. I don't know how you're going to get water out of India if India decides to stop. What are they doing? People in Pakistan must know. So far, India has not violated the treaty. Not violated the treaty so far. The treaty is in abeyance. If India chooses to do anything, it is no more a violation of the treaty. The treaty is not valid today as far as India is concerned. And no power on earth can tell India do it. And I'll explain why. This is a bilateral treaty, that is why, first and foremost. So what will you do? But why is Pakistan hyping it up? Okay. I'll come to why Pakistan is hyping it up a little more later. But you have to understand, people say there's a Vienna Convention on laws of treaties and this and that and all that nonsense. There might be. That convention was drawn in 1617, something like that. पता नहीं, मेरे को डेवलपी पता नहीं है. But those realities don't hold today. Whatever is done is bilateral. That fellow Mao Zedong came here and he said, I'll not invade India. Next day he came and invaded India. So he said Panchsheel and all that sheel and nothing happened. Hindi Chini bye-bye. Nothing happened, isn't it? What do? You wrote MOUs, treaties. There's a MOU between India and China on non-aggression and all that. Nothing happened when they did try and invade India in Eastern Ladakh. Of course, we kicked them back. That's a different story. Now, all those treaties, all those agreements are all gone. Raddi hai. Now, for a long time, we've held. But now let me look at it legally. Understand this business of collapsing treaties legally. Look, what happened to the INF treaty? Intermediate Nuclear Forces Treaty. It's collapsed. It was signed in 1988. Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty. Why? Because Russia and USSR, they accused each other of non-compliance and the treaty fell. Not very far back, you're talking of 2019. The SALT, Strategic Arms Limitation Treaty, the new SALT, everything has broken. It's ended, finished. Putin has said, I'm not part of it anymore. What could America do? Nothing. Then look at that Budapest Memorandum. What is that Budapest Memorandum? As per this memorandum, there's a treaty which, when Russia got all the nuclear forces of or the nuclear weapons of Ukraine, they signed a thing saying that we will not invade Ukraine. But did they stick to it? They invaded Ukraine twice, once in 2014, the other now we know 2022. So ये क्या बोल रहा है? India's water treaty can't be broken. If people are broken. Open skies treaty broken. Have a look at it. It's about surveillance flights, all that. WTO is also a World Trade Organization, almost a treaty. Gone. JCPOA. There's an agreement between Iran and USA for nuclear weapons and all that, which Obama signed. Trump just walked away from it. So if they can do all that, why should we not do? And what happened to the Treaty of Versailles? Great Treaty of Versailles, 1919. As per that, Japan could not, produce arms and all that. Something similar to Japan. We are not talking, not Japan, Germany. But Hitler said to hell with that treaty. Let's arm ourselves, and no one could do anything. The Treaty of Versailles failed. So there is nothing hard and fast that treaties don't fail. All bilateral treaties are bilateral in nature. It is between a country and B country to operate within the things of the treaty. I can walk away from this treaty anytime. So this Pakistan saying there's no exit clause is not valid. There's no clause to say that you have to continue in this treaty despite differences. Hey, law is law. We need to understand it. Today we are playing law because we have already said it's an abeyance. We've given them 2 years notice. That's it. Why do treaties collapse or are nullified. This is something very interesting I found. Okay, have a look at it. There are express withdrawal clauses. Treaties could have a withdrawal clause. Treaties can be nullified by mutual consent. Treaties can have an expiration date, like the Kyoto Protocol. Okay, so NAFTA was, everyone broke NAFTA by mutual consent. It terminated it. Brexit. Now, just think, Brexit happened, isn't it? Brexit was also Britain was part of EU. It did a Brexit. Why? Because there's an express withdrawal clause there in that whole thing, EU thing, and they broke it. So it is not as if treaties are not this thing. Now, there another thing. If there's a material breach by another party, it will break. You can break. That's a ground under which you can walk away. Here, okay, let's do this material breach and say, like, I'm going to do this material breach. Do what you want. Pakistan will not run away. He wants to still come to you. He can do nothing. But the most important thing is why this treaty can be nullified or it can collapse or you can walk away from it is fundamental change of circumstances. If the circumstances under which this treaty was signed changes, this treaty is null and void. It's a bilateral treaty. The interesting part here, in 23 we wrote to them. 24 again we wrote to them to say, but let's renegotiate the treaty, taking into consideration the change in demography and the global situation and all that. They refused. And if they've refused, for 2 years we've tried speaking to them, they refused. And then we have said, okay, we'll hold it in abeyance. We told them don't do terrorism, but yet they carried out Pahalgam. Okay. So if they've carried out Pahalgam, everything is there. So there's a fundamental change of circumstances. And then there's a thing called impossibility of performance. What is this impossibility of performance? That this treaty cannot be implemented. If this treaty cannot be implemented, why should I be in the treaty? I cannot implement this treaty anymore. Chalo bhai. So legally, we are in the right. We have a point of view. Okay, Pakistan will say India is not in the right. Pakistan is right. Fine. We say we are in the right. This treaty has no other escape route other than the neutral expert and court of arbitration. It cannot go to the court of law. It cannot go to the Hague. That's as per the treaty. They're bound. So they have to deal with us bilaterally. And since they have chosen not to deal with us bilaterally and carrying out terror, and blood and water cannot flow together, that's what our Prime Minister said. So this treaty is suspended. Period. We have just suspended it. If you feel that you want water, Pakistanis should start behaving, and they should very clearly, certifiably say, like they say, no, whether you are violating the treaty, the dam height, gate height, all that they have napod, tolod, and accordingly they have given permission for us to go ahead with our dams or not. The shoe is on the other foot. We will do what we want with the water. We can do till such time you certify that there are no terror camps, and that certification will come from us. India will take out on-site inspections and say no terror, and you should come out publicly and say no terrorist camps in my area which are diverted to India, and prove it. Because we were to prove, every time we built a dam, we had to prove that we were as per the Indus Water Treaty, and Pakistan had objections to it. So the same thing for terror. Lawfare can be played both ways. As simple as that. Okay. Pakistan is carrying out a huge charade. Why? Because of its internal failures. Okay? Pakistan's charade about Indus Water Treaty is fundamentally due to its internal failures and its great mediation efforts which is carrying out elsewhere. Because whatever it is doing, internally it is not doing anything for their own people. That's the problem. And this is something which I heard, came across yesterday from a Pakistani. He says Pakistan's government has suddenly discovered that the Indus water crisis, holding conferences and issuing fiery warnings about India suspension of Indus water treaty. But this performative outrage is political theater, not policy. The crisis is obviously for the common people. Yet, the governing class treats it as a rhetorical opportunity rather than an existential emergency requiring action. If the government were serious, the proof should be in the budget, not the press conferences. So this is something very interesting he has brought out. This is a Pakistani. He says, what are you doing in the budget if your problem is so thing? पानी रोक दोगे तो हम बम उड़ा देंगे, लड़ाई लड़ लेंगे, हमारा लाइफ लाइन है, रेड लाइन है, ब्लू लाइन है, ग्रीन लाइन है, as already metro going here. He says, where's in the budget? Interesting. In the financial year 25-26, Pakistan's government has slashed water sector funding by 27%. If water is your lifeline and you're cutting expenditure on water by 27%, when the World Bank is saying, yeah, this is your budget which should be there. They have cut it from 184.6 billion to 133 billion. Know what new water project has been added in the development portfolio last year. Okay, only the half of last year's budget was actually spent. So whatever they've allocated, that also they have not spent. Why? They're busy doing other things. They are going and licking Trump. The government cut overall development spending by 173 billion. Why? They had to give it to fuel subsidies and all that. Part of that they would have made money also, knowing these Pakistani politicians. They have started the Daimar Basha Dam and the Dasu hydropower project and Kachi Canal and all that. This fellow says, as per the current funding, Daimar Basha Dam will take 46 years to complete. It will complete by the end of the century or somewhere around 2075. 46 years from now. My grandson will be 50 years old by then. Okay, I don't know about all of you chaps who are watching it. Dasu hydropower will take 65 years. And the Kachi Canal will take century. This is not a sudden failure. That's what is written. The deeper truth is this is not a sudden failure. This is 9 years of neglect since independence. So all this nonsense which they are telling that this is going to be an existential problem. If it is an existential problem, spend money on it. Why are you spending money on nuclear weapons and aircraft and missile and all that? Stands to logic, isn't it? And the army is not interested in all this. They are only... ये भी वही कहानी है. There's an internal breakdown. I'm going to talk of this internal breakdown now. What is happening? Look at POK. What's happening in POK? So they are now talking of not giving ration to POK, people of POK. You heard him. In fact, yesterday I did a program on Republic TV about all this. It's this protest. It's entered its 26th day when their Dharna, Sharna speeches are going on. But the protest started 2 months back. What have you done for them? There is a real problem there for Pakistan. And Pakistan can't do anything because that Asim Munir and his two jokers are loafing around in Doha and wherever. And then you hear Mohit Pirzada, okay.
आप कह रहे हैं कि एमनेस्टी इंटरनेशनल है, ये सारी चीजें इकट्ठी कर लें आप, महारक बलोच से पुतला बलोच को इकट्ठा कर लें, अहमद फरहाद को, आजाद कश्मीर को इसमें डाल दें, जिस तरह से कश्मीरियों को ट्रीट किया गया है, इसके अंदर आप ईमान हाजिर बाजारी को डाल दें, जनवरी में इन्होंने जिस तरह से हम सबको मुकदमे सुना के दहशतगर्द करार दे दिया, डिजिटल टेररिस्ट बना दिया, इसमें मैसेज क्या दे रहे हैं जनरल आसिम मुनीर उनकी टीम? मैसेज दे रहे हैं कि हम एक आहनी हाथ से, आहनी आयरन हैंड से, आहनी हाथ से हम रूल करेंगे, हम कोई चीज बर्दाश्त नहीं करेंगे, हम किसी चीज की परवाह नहीं करते.
So they are not bothered about everything. They want to rule. Asim Munir wants to rule Pakistan with an iron hand. Any form of dissent is finished. Oh, he's put Marang Baluch and a whole lot of Baluch people in jail. PTI and guys are all in jail. All these the Iman Mazari and all these rights activists are in jail. No recourse. They can't talk. No one can talk. The entire Pakistan can do only what Asim Munir wants them to do. There's an internal strife which is going day by day worse. Okay. Then Baluchistan today, there were 3 tankers blown out. Every day, 3 to 4 tankers are being blown off. The problem in Baluchistan is compounding, right? And then there's an aggression. Then there's an external thing which is going on in Kabul. Yesterday they stuck. Let's see what Tarakarta says on RT.
So what is quite interesting is that for years, Pakistan, it was backing the Taliban. Today is the same Taliban government that Pakistan says isn't doing enough to stop militants. So my question is, has Pakistan essentially, created its own problems here?
Oh, yes, it has. I think that's putting it precisely and on the spot. It created a problem, and then the problem turned against it, and now they don't know what to do.
So, Pakistan very clearly created Taliban, which is a problem for the whole world, and now that problem is around their neck like a snake. And I've spoken about this also, that Afghanistan was to be their strategic depth. Now it has a strategic blowout. It has happened. A blowback has happened. You look at it from any point of view, it's in a bad shape. Okay.
So what?
And then if you see their media, the time has come to raise the cost for Afghanistan's Taliban. Friday Times, Najam Sethi. I'm just giving you a jhalak of, a representative idea of the kind of media coverage which this problem is getting and that other problems are getting. Even their writers, their opinion makers, their narrative makers, everything, they are aggressive against Afghanistan, they are aggressive against Baluchistan, they are aggressive against Pakistan or POK. They don't seek any answers from the government about what's happening internally, about water. And then they want to blame India. Because I think the situation in Pakistan is going from bad to worse. And how long can you hold people at bay? You can hold people at bay only with one thing. Divert all the attention towards India. If India has made the villain internationally and domestically, that it is because of India we don't have water. Because we don't have water, nothing is happening and all that. So we need to understand what Pakistan is doing. Pakistan is making the people of Pakistan emotive and react to India's actions and put a parda or a mask over its own incompetence. We need to understand that. And we need to highlight it. What I find funny, and in fact, it's dismaying to me, that's why I'm doing this third video in 3 days, is what is the government doing? What are our great think tanks doing? How does it matter to us what happens in Iran? What happens between Israel and Saudi Arabia? It doesn't help us. This is important to us. Why aren't we discussing more about this? And, having conferences, having this thing, and telling everyone this is this is the thing. You might be right, but if you don't do this information war or do strategic communication, we will have to explain unnecessarily. Even Al Jazeera is not happy with Pakistan carrying out airstrikes in Afghanistan. But our think tanks are not talking of it. There's no discussion on Republic TV. Arnab Goswami at 9 o'clock should discuss why is Pakistan doing all this. Have you seen? There's a press statement from UNAMA. What is UNAMA? It's the United Nations for Afghanistan. They have said that Pakistan has carried out a bombing and they bombed a civilian thing. It's come out in black and white. And why are we not making use of it? UNAMA is United Nations Assistance Mission in Afghanistan. They have said, UNAMA has confirmed that at least 28 civilians were killed and 49 injured in airstrikes carried out in Paktika and Kunar provinces by Pakistan. They have put it in black and white. And why are we keeping quiet about it? You see what is Pakistan's game plan in all this. And there's an economic meltdown. I'm going to take a little more time, but there is this thing. There's a huge economic meltdown in Pakistan. Look at what this chap says, about Shahbaz Sharif. He's the Aam Admi of Pakistan is talking like this.
पास तो इन्फॉर्मेशन कोई नहीं है, मेरा तो तज्जिया है। तो मैं तो ये कहता हूं कि 5 साल तो उनकी गवर्नमेंट को मुसलसल हो गए। पहले पीडीएम के वजीर आजम थे, अब वो 2.5 साल से 5 बजट दे चुके हैं। तो उन्होंने कितने साल हुकूमत करनी है? क्या उन्होंने 10 साल हुकूमत करनी है, 8 साल करनी है, 7 साल करनी है? क्या यानी उनका प्लान है? और क्या इसी तरह करते जाना है? तो उससे तो कोई उम्मीद पैदा नहीं होगी। मेरा पहला क्वेश्चन ये है। तो जितनी देर तक गवर्नेंस के अंदर और हुकूमत के अंदर अब तब्दीली नहीं आती, मेरा ख्याल है कि कोई उम्मीद पैदा नहीं होगी। मेरा तो इसमें बुनियादी सवाल ये है कि ना पॉलिटिक्स तो वो कर ही नहीं रहे। प्राइम मिनिस्टर ने आज तक कोई सियासी जलसे से खिताब नहीं किया, कोई उन्होंने सियासी मीटिंग नहीं की, कोई उन्होंने जो है वो आज तक सियासी बात नहीं की। ठीक है। और इसी तरह आप पंजाब के अंदर देख लें कि सवाए काम करने के, जो जाहिर है बड़ी अच्छी स्कीमें आई हैं मरियम साहबा की, लेकिन पॉलिटिक्स कोई नहीं। ना नून की पॉलिटिक्स है, ना नून की कभी एक मीटिंग।
So just think, he is just withdrawn from everything. He's only following Asim Munir. Okay, nothing. There's no questions asked, no questions answered in politically. Okay. Does it end there? It doesn't end there. Now, there's this chap called Nadeem Haq. He says, understanding Pakistan's economic policy crisis. I'll read it out. It will take some time, but let's understand why Pakistan is doing all this nonsense. Our economic strategy is stuck in the 1970s. Okay, model. Aid and loan for bricks and mortar projects, and we keep repeating the same past instead of learning from it. This is the root of our repeated balance of payments crisis. Every government rushes into vanity projects, metros, roads, stadium, with little analysis or planning. Result, more debt, cost overruns, and white elephants. Their own water projects are white elephants today. Okay. We still treat public investment as political photo ops. The finance ministry bows to vested interests and political pressure. Taxes like medieval kingdoms has no research or thought. In reality, there's no real policy for good economic management. Planning Commission has been sidelined for 50 years. Growth has been erased from our policy lexicon. No serious research, no targets, no strategy. Development planning is dead. We become a status quo nation. Instead of focusing on growth and jobs and opportunity, The conversation is dominated by social protection and charity, handouts over empowerment. The excuse IMF decides everything. It is false. IMF programs are negotiated. If you present a coherent homegrown stabilization plus growth plan backed by solid analysis, the fund won't engage, but we don't. They can't because why? They can't. They don't have anything. Because we never truly own these programs, implementation fails. Hence the cycle, crisis, IMF repeat. There is no substitute for strong domestic policy capacity. Policy is complex. It needs teamwork across institutions, not one ministry with absolute power. He's putting his finger at Asim Munir. Strangely, Pakistan show more passion for the cricket team than for economic policy, or who's steering our economy and how. They're defunct. Look at this chap.
मैं आपके सामने एडमिट कर रहा हूं कि इस वक्त हमारे कारखाने नहीं चल रहे, ठीक है, मैं एडमिट कर रहा हूं और हमें फॉरेन इन्वेस्टमेंट के लिए हम लोगों को कह रहे हैं लेकिन अपने कारखाने नहीं चल रहे.
So very clear. He's an industrialist who says my factories are not running. This is a thing in Pakistan. You will see this flooding the thing. Then there's this China factor. I must discuss the China factor as far as this Indus Water Treaty is concerned. We're going to take some time, but that's okay. This chap Victor Gao, he says Indian Ocean Indus Water diversion threats a crime against humanity. This is what he says, and he says China stands with Pakistan. And then the threat comes, we will do to you because all the waters of India are controlled by China. I want to put it across. This is all nonsense. No water of China, India is controlled by China. Indus water, they can do nothing. The bulk of the Indus waters in the Indus is gained in India, not there. The only two transnational, into the rivers which start from China are Satluj and Indus. They can do very little. Brahmaputra, the dam is far away. And from what I've learned out of the dam and my analysis and everything, they can't stop the water. If they stop the water, their dam will collapse. Their whole story is on using the flow of the water. There will be some disturbances. They can do some disturbance in the thing, but it doesn't affect anything much. In any case, that Subansiri, not Subansiri, sorry, the Sangpo one, which comes into India, and in the Arunachal stretch, nothing much will happen. So, Pakistanis want to go to China, okay, and say China will stop your water. China can do nothing. And China, they'll send loudmouths like him to talk. Let them talk. We need to, pardafash that also. We're not doing it. No, China, how does it help? China is selling aircraft to Pakistan and coming out with headlines like this. This is the headline which is come out in this thing. That Pak has rattled India with Chinese built stealth submarines. The Hangor class. This is the story, narratives which are coming out. China is helping Pakistan this way. They're not telling Pakistan, yeah, take money and build dams. And he's selling these so that Pakistan can go more in debt to him. Pakistan won't have water, more debt for food, debt for arms, nothing, and everything Pakistan will go down the drain. What can they do to India? They can do nothing. Then they're selling J-35 fighters. Just think, for one J-35 fighter, Pakistan can make 10 canals. But are they prepared to do that? Pakistan wants submarines, but not canals for water. So it wants to have canals and fight against India and say that India is stopping their water. Bhai, aap khud kar lo na. And then there's this thing, India has been defeated in Op Sindhu. There's a delusion. This is what this fellow says. India is resorting, Shahbaz Sharif, India is resorting to covert tactics using proxies to destabilize Pakistan. Yeah, why should we destabilize Pakistan when you're doing it yourself? He says, Shahbaz Sharif said on Saturday that India was trying hard to avenge the humiliating setback. Was it humiliating for me or you? Okay. And then there's one chap, Air Vice Marshal Shahryar Khan, who says next time it will be 60-0, not 7-0, 60-0. Bada bada baat kar rahe ho yaar. So you want to fight out with us for water, you will not get anything. That be rest assured. And you'll lose whatever water you have. And look at this chap who's sitting in UN, their ambassador, what he speaks.
So it is obviously must be discomforting for India to see its terrorist infrastructure being dismantled and destroyed in Afghanistan.
So India is destroying a terrorist infrastructure or terrorist infrastructure in Afghanistan, which Pakistan has created. Today, whatever they did with Taliban, everything, that terrorist infrastructure, everything, we have created. Now, this is a new narrative. And this is in UN.
By Pakistan's valiant security forces.
And the new thing is Pakistan won Op Sindoor. Okay. But there's some reality. People know. Here is this thing. In a show, what a American is saying. Listen to that and then I'll tell you what it is all about.
Their whole worldview is, India must kill India. And that's why they started the Taliban. They started the Taliban to give them a base in.
This is in the Bill Maher show. He says they have started the Taliban.
Afghanistan, so the Indians wouldn't be there. They're paranoid, and they're such pathological liars, they don't even know when they're lying anymore.
You're talking about the Pakistanis?
Pakistanis.
Okay, just to make that sure. Richard?
So this is, all in the Bill Maher show. And
you're talking about the
Pakistanis.
Okay. Very clearly he's saying they're pathological liars. Why don't we tell everyone this? But then Mr. Trump likes these pathological liars. What can you do? So you have to devise a strategy to offset all this. Okay. And they also have to realize that this is the graph. This graph is our GDP, is their GDP, where it is growing further and further. It will never catch up. So I hope I have explained all this. And finally, I want you to hear a voice from within Pakistan. This is of Akhtar Mangal. Akhtar Mangal was a member of Pakistan National Assembly. He is now doesn't enter the assembly anymore. He is in Balochistan. And see what he has to say about Balochistan. If there's one thing I'm certain, Pakistan will never regain Balochistan back. Not in the near future. I'm very sure. So let's hear Akhtar Mangal. This is the last thing which I want to talk, and then I'll take some questions.
दुनिया की जंगी तारीख में 90,000 फौजियों ने जो इकट्ठे हथियार नहीं डाले होंगे जो आपकी फौज ने डाले, ये भी अपनी निसाब की किताबों में डाल दें कि आपकी आने वाली 10 नस्लें वो भी पढ़ें। अपनी निसाब की किताबों में ये भी डाल दें कि उन 90,000 फौजियों के न सिर्फ हथियार बल्कि उनकी पतलूनें भी आज दिन तक वहां पे टांगी हुई है। ये भी उनमें डाल दें कि जंग हार चुके थे, लेकिन आपके टेलीविजन और रेडियो पे खबरें आ रही थी कि जी हमने पता नहीं कौन कौन से हिंदुस्तान के जो इलाके फतेह कर लिए।
Same thing is repeating today also. जंग हार चुके थे पर खबरें आ रही थी कि हम जीत चुके हैं. Same thing is happening now.
ये भी उस निसाब की किताबों में डाल दें कि कितने लाख बंगालियों का कत्लेआम आप लोगों ने वहां पे किया, ये भी उस निसाब की किताबों में डाला।
We know the rape and genocide in Bangladesh. We are now have to tell the world about what's going to happen in POK, what's going to happen in Balochistan, what's happening in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. Is it less of a genocide? It is not. And we should tell that. Okay.
ये भी उस निसाब की किताबों में डाल दें कि आपकी आने वाली 10 नस्लें याद करें और अपना सर फख्र से बूबा करें कि हजारों की तादाद में बंगाली औरतों की असमत गरी करने वाले कोई गैर मुस्लिम नहीं थे, आपकी पाकिस्तान की मुसलमान फौज थी। ये भी उस निसाब की किताब में डालना। और कुछ सुनना है तो जनरल साहब कहो, हम आपकी और भी तारीखें दोहराने से गुरेज नहीं करेंगे।
Look, this is pretty serious. When a mainstream politician like Akhtar Mengal starts speaking like this, then you can where Pakistan stands. Of course, this talk is about 6-7 months old. I heard it earlier. But this is the sentiment. You heard the sentiment in POK. That's why I started. I ended in Balochistan. And I've taken you in between to Afghanistan. The situation is bad. Their economy is bad. And they don't have anything to do. They have to externalize the situation. And what are they doing? They're externalizing it with conferences, this, that, and all. That is something which their own people are talking of. If their own people are talking of it, why can't we talk of it? Why should it be only one person like me talking of it? I want you people to comment. I'm going to put it out on Twitter again tomorrow. I would like you to go on Twitter and comment that India should start talking. If we don't start talking of it, then we are in a problem. If you let Pakistan peddle their narrative, it will be counterproductive to us. If you don't have Twitter, at least put it out in WhatsApp in your groups. Let it go up to anyone. Tell it to any government guy whom you know, so that he can put it to his chief minister or some minister or anyone at any level. People should know. Somehow it should know. I'm sure people know, but are they taking enough action as a? People know what the truth. It's not as if people don't know. I'm sure our people are smart enough to know all that. But we need to spur them into action. That's the point I'm saying.